You know that tap you do every day? Paying for your coffee, your groceries. It feels so simple, right? Instant. Free. But what if I told you that behind that simple tap, there's a whole hidden world of fees and infrastructure? Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and see what's really going on and what it's actually costing us here in the EU.
So let's just start with a number, 1 to 3%. Now, that might not sound like a huge deal, but imagine that little slice being taken from countless transactions all across Europe every single day.
You see, that 1 to 3%, that's what a merchant, we're talking everyone from your local bakery to your favorite bookstore, has to cough up for every single card payment. And here's the kicker. A huge chunk of that cash flows right out of the European economy and into the pockets of just a couple of big, non-European companies.
And that really gets to the heart of the problem. You can think of it like a toll booth economy. It's as if a few companies have set up toll booths on the main highway of European commerce. Every time you tap your card, they're there collecting a fee.
And this slide, well, it shows you the real-world consequences of that toll booth. You've got Visa and Mastercard with an absolute stranglehold on the market. Meanwhile, any local, national payment systems we have in the EU, they can't talk to each other across borders, so they're not a real alternative. This whole situation forces high fees and expensive terminals onto small businesses. And guess who ends up paying for it all? We do, the consumers. It just gets baked into higher prices.
Now, to be fair, the EU did try to fix this. They passed a regulation to put a cap on something called the interchange fee. But the card companies, they're clever. They just turned around and jacked up their other scheme fees to make up for it. As this quote here says, the relief was basically canceled out. The total cost for merchants, it barely budged. So that regulation didn't really solve the fundamental issue. Okay, so if the old way is a problem and regulation didn't quite fix it, what about the alternatives? Europe has been trying to find its own sovereign solution for a while now, but honestly, the road's been pretty bumpy, with a lot of ideas that just don't quite get the job done.
So, let's look at Wero, the European Payments Initiative. It's got some good things going for it, for sure. It's European-run, which is great, but it's a private, for-profit company. What's to stop them from slowly cranking up the fees over time? You know, we've seen this movie before. A previous European effort, Eurocard, ended up getting swallowed by Mastercard. It kind of feels like we're setting up the same situation again. A private company making a profit off of public infrastructure that we, the taxpayers, already paid for.
The big players are getting in on the alternative game too. They're pushing these so-called account-to-account payments. They sound great, right? Direct, cheap, but when you look under the hood, yep, they've just found a clever new way to wedge themselves into the middle of the transaction and, you guessed it, charge their fees. It's basically the same old business model with a shiny new name.
And then there's the big one, the digital euro. A lot of people see this as the ultimate solution for European sovereignty. But as you can see from this timeline, we're talking years away. It's bogged down in delays, and honestly, Europe's small businesses and consumers, they really can't afford to wait that long. We need a fix, and we need it now.
Which kind of brings us to this big question. Is Europe just stuck? Trapped between depending on foreign companies on one side and waiting for future solutions that are still way out on the horizon? Is it really no other option?
Well, it turns out there is. And here's the central argument of the analysis we're looking at today. The solution isn't some new radical idea we have to invent from scratch. The most important pieces are already built. They're already here, just waiting for us to connect the dots.
This, right here, is the key takeaway. A real, sovereign European payment solution isn't some far-off dream. The foundations are already in place. Think of it this way. We don't need to build a whole new highway system. We just need to build a few on-ramps to connect the roads that already exist. So how would it work? That's actually pretty straightforward. The whole thing rests on 3 pillars that, again, are already up and running. First, you've got the infrastructure, which is called tips. Second, the way you send the payment info is with an EPC QR code. And third, the security piece is handled by something called verification of payee, or VoP.
All right, let's start with the foundation, tips. This is the European Central Bank's very own instant payment system. It's super fast, it's secure, and it connects banks all across Europe. And here's the absolute best part. The most difficult, most expensive part of any payment network, the whole back-end system, it's already built, and it's already paid for with public money.
So, how do we actually start a payment? Simple, with the EPC QR code. This is an open-source, totally license-free standard that's, get this, already built into a ton of banking apps across Europe. A shop owner just has to show a QR code. The customer scans it with the phone and the banking app they already have. That's it.
Simple, standardized, and secure. And finally, the piece that makes it all trustworthy: verification of payee. Starting in 2025, this becomes a mandatory EU standard. What it means is, when you go to pay, your banking app will instantly double-check that the name on the merchant's bank account is who they say they are. It's an incredibly powerful, built-in security feature that protects both you and the merchant from fraud.
Okay, so if all these pieces are just sitting there on the chessboard, what do we need to do to actually make the winning move? This is probably the most incredible part of the whole thing. We're not talking about a massive, expensive project. We're talking about a very minor tweak for a truly major leap forward.
I mean, just look at this list. This is it. This is all that's needed. The biggest change is a tiny addition to the existing QR code standard to tell the system, hey, this is a payment at a shop. Then, you just require banking apps to be able to read this slightly updated code. Add a simple privacy feature so your name doesn't pop up on the merchant's bank statement, and make a rule that businesses have to offer at least one cashless option, and you're done. The whole system is ready to go.
And just stop and think what this means for small businesses for a second. The farmer at the market, the local coffee shop. No more paying for expensive card terminals. No complex tech to set up, no monthly fees. All they would need is a bank account and a simple, laminated QR code they can put on the counter. This is a total game changer. It just vaporizes the biggest barrier they have to accepting cashless payments.
You know, this whole approach isn't just about fixing the problems we have today. It's much bigger than that. It's about building a smart, sovereign bridge to the future of payments in Europe, a future that will eventually include the digital euro.
So when you boil it all down, this solution delivers a huge win on 4 key fronts. It gives us immediate scale across the entire EU. It provides real economic relief to businesses by getting rid of all those unnecessary fees. It boosts fiscal integrity by making digital payments cheap and accessible to everyone. And, most importantly, it delivers total autonomy, a European payment system built on public infrastructure working for the public good.
So there you have it. The technology is there, the standards are in place, the expensive hard parts are already built and paid for. This really isn't a question of can we do it anymore. It's a question of political will. All the pieces are on the board. The only real question left is, will Europe finally make the move?